My 29th ex's 34 daughter, 13th, is trying to ruin my relationship with my fiancé, 30. I met my ex's daughter, Gemma, when she was 4, and we broke up when she was 9. I grew really attached to Gemma over the 5 years I knew her, since I would be the one to look after her mostly whenever she was with her dad. So I really missed her when we broke up. Despite having a bad breakup, my ex agreed to let me spend time with Gemma, as neither of us wanted her to be affected by it. I usually see her at least twice a month until the lock. My fiancé knew about this before we started dating and was fine with it. We got engaged earlier this year, and Gemma's taken it really bad. She never mentioned anything to me and seemed very happy when I told her. But she's been sending my fiancé nasty stuff on Facebook, including proof I was having an affair with her dad. My fiancé blocked her, but she keeps making fake accounts to continue harassing him. I've asked her to stop multiple times, and she insists the fake accounts aren't her. It's obvious they are. Last week, she crossed the line when she threatened to report him to the medical board if he didn't break up with me. My fiancé now wants me to stop talking to her. We had a big fight over it where he basically said he couldn't marry me if I chose to keep her in my life. He didn't say these exact words, but it was obvious this was what he was implying. I don't want to lose my fiancé, but I can't just abandon Gemma. I've known her for most of her life, and if I cut her off, it devastate her. I need advice on what to do. Do long, don't read. I've stayed in contact with my ex's daughter post-breakup. It's never been a problem for my fiancé before, but now that we're engaged, Gemma is actively trying to sabotage our relationship. She's tried to make it look like I'm having an affair with her dad and threatened to report my fiancé to the medical board. My fiancé now wants me to cut contact with her. She may be trying to break up your relationship, but you're the one letting it happen. From your response, it sounds like you haven't demonstrated significant effort or attempts to manage the situation from your end at all. Have you always struggled to establish healthy boundaries with? Have you struggled to implement consequences in response to her behaviors in the past? Have you tried actually having a mature, calm, reasonable, heart-to-heart with her about how her behavior is making you feel? Have you tried explaining to her how hurtful it is for her to make false accusations and assassinate your character just to get away? Have you attempted to address any of the obvious underlying concerns she must have which are causing her to act out so appallingly like that? You both seem to have formed an anxious attachment to each other, where she's likely worried that if you get married off to someone else there may be no chance for any reconciliation between you and her father, or that you will no longer be available to be a part of her life. Her behavior is a child's response to very complex and deep emotions, of which you seem to have made no effort to genuinely acknowledge or even discuss with her. If you allow her behavior to persist, you continue to give her permission to bully others online or offline, because she is experiencing negative emotions. What happens the next time she experiences deep or negative emotions, which can't be easily directed at your fiancé as the enemy? What happens when she gets upset with someone at school and believes that an appropriate response or outlet for her emotions is to spread lies and rumors, or bombard another child's social media relentlessly every day after school? What happens when she decides that she likes someone, but she's upset they don't like her back the same way? This is actually a hugely serious behavior that she's grown into, which you have acknowledged is bad enough to be alienating to adults. Imagine what Gemma's behavior could do to another child who doesn't have the life experience, stability, confidence, or the ability to emotionally disconnect from the situation. You say that you've been hugely influential in her life. But what kind of influence are you creating with your parenting? 5 years is a significant portion of her life, but you have to be radically honest with yourself about how healthy your connection or influence was in that time, and how this has contributed to shaping the person Gemma is growing into. You need to reflect on why this behavior has been allowed to escalate to this point through either your inaction or lack of skills, so that you can establish yourself as the adult moving forward. The only way you should be comfortable continuing a relationship with Gemma is if you can be sure that you are a positive, assertive, healthy adult influence on her future self, rather than a weak or anxious one when you speak to Gemma with her father present. So she has to acknowledge her poor behavior with her primary caregiver, You need to make it absolutely clear in no uncertain terms that her behavior is abhorrent, and that you are disappointed and hurt that she's chosen to behave this way. This is coming directly from you, not your fiancé, not from anyone else, not because someone else has asked you to say this to her. This conversation is occurring as a direct result of her behavior being hurtful, harmful, and unkind towards you and someone who you love very much. That should be very clear to her. You also need to make it clear to her that any change in your relationship with her, whether she will still be invited to have any access or involvement in your life, will be a direct result of how appropriately she can behave moving forward. You will need to reduce any contact with her until she can earn back or regain your trust again, which will only be possible through her consistently demonstrating that she is talking about her emotions instead of lashing out, able to genuinely recognize how and why her behaviors are hurtful, show remorse, show genuine improvement in her behavior towards others, and is it able to acknowledge other people's thoughts and feelings in a sincere way. If you are unable to establish new boundaries for her from this point on, I would genuinely consider your lack of ability to manage this situation as a huge red flag on your behavior, communication, and conflict management skills as an adult. If you are unable to address this healthily moving forward, you will need to disconnect all contact, potentially with a warning from the authorities if she does not take the disconnect seriously, considering the seriousness of her allegations and risk to the person she is victimizing. You should also consider going to therapy to work through whatever underlying issues are stopping you from being able to be assertive, maintain a balance as a caregiver in a healthy adult-child relationship, or why you even allow these behaviors which consistently victimize someone you love in the first place. What Gemma is doing isn't justified because she loves you, just in the same way that you allowing her to behave poorly isn't teaching her how to love. Edits for mobile. You need to talk to her dad about this stuff. I actually don't blame your fiancé for asking you to cut contact, because Gemma is threatening his career and it's completely out of line. I understand wanting to stay in a child's life, but if she's actively threatening your relationship, you may end up having to cut ties with her, for everyone's sake. You are not doing her any favors by continuing a relationship with her in which you are basically endorsing her behavior. Limit.